Paul Lasley arrived in Iowa just as the farm crisis was truly beginning to show the impact. And he became a voice about what was going on in rural Iowa. He worked with farm families, he gave congressional testimony, he helped rural communities think about what their future would be as it related to that crisis that truly impacted all of Iowa. Paul made a tremendous difference in helping all of us go through the farm crisis. He became a valued partner, but he was the person that would listen to what families had to tell him, and he could provide great advice to those families.
He joined the faculty here in '81, right in the middle of the farm crisis, and really was a godsend to helping people here in the state work through these problems of, low profitability, low income, stress on the family farms and so forth. And with his rural sociology background, he was all about people and relationships.
So I ended up really with pretty much an interdisciplinary degree with both by working in agronomy and taking agronomy courses and animal science, and then I got interested in rural sociology because I was in a rural sociology course, and one of the required readings was the 1969 Presidential Commission on Rural Poverty. And it was entitled "The People Left Behind." That was a required reading. And suddenly light started coming on in answering the question that I had been bothered with growing up, and that is why people work hard and die poor. I graduated with my PhD in May of '81, and I started at Iowa State in July 1 of 1981. And so I spent 40 years on the faculty at Iowa State. I launched the Iowa Farm and Rural Life Poll in 1982, working with the Iowa Department of Agriculture, and I became very close to the staff and worked closely with Dwayne Scow, who was a state statistician, in drawing a sample of Iowa farmers and it was about that time that I began to recognize that the go-go years of the 1970s was coming to a screeching halt. There may not be much that local communities could do about the farm economy, but they certainly could do more in terms of what I call neighboring. And one of the things that I've pushed throughout my career is that neighbor should be a verb rather than a noun, that it's about neighboring. Through good times and bad times, the issue of being a good neighbor. Many of the issues that I addressed in the 1980s have resurfaced in some sectors. Now it's a bit different right now, so I don't want to make a comparison. But the issues of how to restore prosperity to rural communities looms large. I've always pressed the issue that family farms are not any different than family-owned businesses on Main Street, and we need to really kind of think about how do we address the mutual interest of Main Street businesses, the small town merchants and family farmers. They face the same sorts of issues. I sometimes think about climate change in the context of rural demographic changes. That we are, I think that we need to be looking at this as an opportunity. So the issues of alternative energy and climate change and rural development. The rural development is really about creating not only a quality of life, but it's about income generation as well. And so working hard versus working smart. And so there's so many dimensions of how agriculture change and rural development are linked together and how to bring that together. We can address some of these issues. Whether you're talking about diversification, and Iowa agriculture has done a lot in terms of diversifying it. Whether you're talking about alternative fuels, increased processing, value-added processing, issues of farmers markets. I think one of the success stories in Iowa has been the proliferation of farmers markets and wineries and distilleries. They're all about adding jobs and value to local commodities and creating opportunities.